Hey, my name is Steve Cook.
And I'm David DiMuzio, and this is Hair Loss Hope. I had a question from one of you guys. He was asking the other day about dandruff. I don't know if it was on one of my live videos. Make sure you ring the notification bell, by the way, because I do go live here on the channel pretty often, but you'll need to ring that notification bell so you know when I go live, because I don't do it at like a scheduled time. It's just kind of randomly, but you'll get notified then if you do that. So ring the bell. He was asking about dandruff. He experiences a lot of dandruff, and so he wondered if that made him a bad hair transplant candidate, if it was risky to do a hair transplant candidate based on his dandruff. I am not an expert on dandruff and hair transplants. I thought I'd ask Steve, what's your take on that?
What I would advise you to do if you have a lot of dandruff, like excessive dandruff, is see a dermatologist as soon as possible. And you're not scheduled for a hair transplant. If you are, and all of a sudden you have excessive dandruff, you need to contact your hair transplant surgeon. Normal dandruff is normal. You may want to use some HipaCleanse or some Nizoral shampoo for a few times per week prior to your hair transplant if you have one scheduled and it flares up. One thing that you want to be very careful with, and why I advise you to see a dermatologist, is sometimes there's a confusion between different types of dermatitis, psoriasis on the scalp. Those conditions you do not want to have when you're having a transplant. So that's where dermatologists come in, because they're experts in the skin, and definitely keep in communication with your hair transplant doctor if you have a procedure scheduled or you're thinking about it. Now, if you are diagnosed with some sort of dermatitis or psoriasis, you need to treat that first. And many times they can flare up at different times. Your dermatologist will say, well, we have it under control, but there's going to be different flare-ups. So you want to make sure that you're not having a flare-up a week or a day or two before your hair transplant procedure. If you are, it needs to be rescheduled.
Okay, so to wrap up, from what I understand, dandruff as a thing is not really an issue for a hair transplant. So what's an issue, it would be dermatitis or psoriasis as skin conditions that you have, which can sometimes be thought of as dandruff, or someone can have those and think, oh, I have dandruff. So really what you need to do is make sure that you do just have dandruff if you're going to have a hair transplant, and it's not psoriasis or dermatitis or some other skin condition.
Yeah, and if you don't feel like going to a dermatologist, or you're just asking the question just in case, I like Nizoral. Nizoral shampoo is over the counter, and you got to ask the pharmacist for it in like a Walgreens or CVS. But if you use it like 1 or 2 times a week, see what happens with your dandruff. Also, if you're not using finasteride and you're planning on using it, a lot of times you can experience a little bit of dandruff with hair loss because of the actual process of the inflammation and the balding, thinning, and miniaturization and whatnot. So as soon as you go on the finasteride, a lot of times that dandruff will go away.
Interesting. Okay, so if I'm, for whatever reason, not going to take the time to see my dermatologist, I could use the Nizoral shampoo once or twice a week, get on the finasteride, and then see if like in a couple of months it goes away. And if it goes away, I'm probably all good. And if it doesn't, well, then I probably do need to go see a dermatologist before getting a hair transplant.
Yeah, no question.
If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments, because we love getting your questions. I learn a lot every time, and if I don't know the answer, then I ask Steve or Dr. McGrath or one of our friends, and we'll get back to you.